Hey Instagram, you're brilliant. Time to let the world know. Isn't that amazing? I love that. Our guests today have that as the first thing you land on when you click their website, frankandmarcy.com. Go check it out now. You're brilliant. Time to let the world know. Oh my God. I know you're here, gang. I love that so much. I'm always telling people, holy crap, like, you're brilliant at what you do. We just have to get more people to know about you. And isn't that what we're all trying to do, right? Is to get attention, to showcase our amazing products, our impactful services. That's what all of this is about. And today's guests, I think there's going to be two of them. I don't know if Frank and Marcy will be on the call, but wait and see if they'll fit into the screen together. But these guys are really, really talented and very authentic. And we hear that word being thrown around a lot around personal branding, like be authentic, be authentic. I'm like, yeah, how do you be authentic? I know that's what you're thinking. And we're going to dive into that personal brand topic today. I'm really excited to talk to these guys. I've been wanting to talk to them for a very, very long time. So I'm excited. I think it's early in the morning or really late at night. One or the other. We'll figure that out in a second when they come on. But before that, just to anchor what we're talking about, as I went off on a kind of a cryptic entry there, we're talking about personal branding, and we're talking about the problem that people have when they're not really quirky or they don't have something very distinctive about themselves to almost highlight, right? And this is what I hear a lot. It's grand for you, Tara. You're demented, like you're quirky as feck. Sure, it's easy for you to build a personal brand. Not everybody has things like that in their personality. So how do you even begin to build a personal brand around yourself? If you think, and this is something I want to talk to the lads about, if you think there's nothing there of interest. People always say to me, sure, people won't find that interesting. I'm like, oh yes, they will. So I think that's the uncovering piece of this personal brand topic. But I want to talk to the experts, Frank and Marcy. I'm going to see will they come on there now. But first, sorry, before I bring you on, just a little bit of biscuit news. I've just launched a 6-lesson workshop, Sell More This Christmas with Less Stress. If you are a biscuit backer, you have just got an email with the workshop for free to say, I love you. Thank you for supporting me and for being a biscuit backer. That's in your email right now. And everyone else in the email list has gotten the link to the workshop, and we'll be putting it out over the next couple of days. So if you're on my email list, check your inbox. All the details are on there. It's a really good workshop. We just ran it in the factory and it's being implemented and they're getting great results and are all zoned into Christmas time because we're nearly there. Okay, that's a bit of biscuit news. I want to talk to these guys. I'm so excited. I can't cope. I have to find them now in the list. There they are. I'm going to wave them first and get them in. There we go. Frank and Marcy. I'm so excited to talk to these guys. Okay, we'll let them in. There they are. Hello.
Hey, Tara.
Hi,
how are you?
Lovely to see the both of you. I was like, will they fit on the screen?
I know. We wondered if we'd fit as well.
Especially
especially since this is our first Instagram live. So.
Well, I'm so honored that I'm part of your first Instagram live. Thank you so much for taking the time, because I know you're in Kentucky, are you?
We are, yeah. So it's just after 7:30 in the morning here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Is that where you're from, Marcy?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. You're home, so
you're with the family.
Lovely, lovely. Frank, what were you saying there? I could have crossed you.
Oh, I was just saying, for some reason, Marcy thought the best idea was to get up at 6 a.m. in order to be ready to do this. And I am not a morning person.
No. Well, you see, she knew you needed that time to hatch. And, curl your hair and, do the thing. Well, thank you so much, gang. We've been talking a lot via DM and you guys give so much back to the biscuits in Bite the Biscuit, our community group on Facebook, helping people with their website, their SEO. And I know you guys do a lot of work with clients on that. But I also know that you are really experts in this personal brand space. And I love this topic. Like, I just think it's so interesting. And I think a lot of people, like kind of what I was talking about coming into this call, feel like it's really not for them because they're not quirky, they don't have a story, you know. Where do people start with this thing? So maybe just to anchor and let people know what you guys do, and how you do it first.
Yeah, perfect.
Cool. Yeah, you get started.
Okay, so we help people build an unforgettable personal brand. And what we actually, just very recently, we've decided that our little slogan, as it were, is now rise above the blah. And it's just about standing out that little bit more from a lot of the kind of robotic, kind of
generic
content that gets pumped out. I think one of the big mistakes that people make is that when they start doing this work, they look around at what everyone else is doing, and then they start fitting into that. They kind of start to try to fit into their niche, and so they're really just copying somebody else's personal brand. So it's really just about looking at yourself, at what is unique about you, and just amplifying that a little bit, and also knowing who you serve and making sure that you're being of value to them. So it's not complicated, and it's anyone can do it. You absolutely do not need a big personality
or a loud personality. I'm a very quiet person, and you're not the loudest of people, are you?
I'm a bit louder than you.
You're a bit louder than me.
Flashing each other's head. But you see, I think that's a really interesting one, because you know, you kind of associate, you know, this personal brand thing with personalities like that are out there going, you know, doing all this stuff, right? And with you guys, I think it's really interesting. It's quite a subtle brand, but you have so many quirks that I think it's just you guys naturally. And when I was thinking about you last night, going, I'll talk to the lads tomorrow, and straight away what came into my brain, which I don't know if any other people say this to you, but what has always comes into my brain when I think of you guys is you doing that dance. You know, that dance that you were doing like, that's just ingrained in my brain about the two of you. It's kind of like this, it's a timeless couple that are just in books, and you know, like, because that's how you are, right? Naturally, that's who you are.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for us, I think it was when we did our own personal brand work, and when we realized that we wanted to be fun, that was going to be one of our traits. That freed us up so much, because up until then we were doing what I just said a minute ago. We were looking at our competitors, and a lot of our competitors were very kind of business focused, and they were very serious, and they were very professional. And so we felt that pressure that, like, oh, we need to be like that. But when we sat down and we did this work, and we were like, no, it's okay. We're the fun people. That's fine. That was so freeing. And then that's fine. Then we can post videos of ourselves reconstructing dirty dancing in our house during lockdown, and that's fine. That's part of our brand.
Yeah. And I think
you know,
it doesn't take away the professionalism, because people are afraid, aren't they, to have fun, or if they are that little bit quirky, or they do have something about them, they're afraid people mightn't take them seriously. Do you get that a lot from your clients when you work with them?
Yeah, we do a little bit. And I think that it's just that thing, isn't it? That people want to connect with people, and like, if you're good at what you do, and you know, if your brand is serious and businesslike, that's fine too. You know, don't get me wrong. If that's who you are and that's your brand, you know, our competitors that we were comparing ourselves to, they are brilliant at that. And that's the thing, is that we were never actually going to be brilliant at that, because it's just not us. So it really is just whoever you are, is absolutely fine, and it's just to amplify it that little bit.
That's the thing
And
we really believe in, is that the personal brand shouldn't be, your personal brand shouldn't be a veneer you put on yourself. It's not like you're hiding yourself. It's just you're bringing out what comes natural to you and what feels comfortable for you. I mean, you should definitely feel comfortable however you show up.
there's yeah, so like, 'cause personal brand, if you look up like the definition, it's essentially like the market perception of you. But that's a kind of uh, that's a very nebulous concept. And so what we like to do is we like to get people to do an exercise where we say, look, you're at an event, and you know it's relevant to your industry or your business or whatever you do. So it might be a conference, it might be an art exhibition, but you know there's usually, if it's an art exhibition, maybe it's an opening, and you're getting your glass of wine and they're pouring your wine for you, and on the other side of the room, you out of the corner of your eye, you see, you just know that someone is talking about you, and you see two people, one person is pointing at you, and you know they're saying, who's that getting the wine there? So the question we ask then is, what would you want that answer to be?
Love that.
And it's that simple. It's like, it's what do you want people to say about you, about who you are, how you show up, who you serve, and
What you do.
and the results that the results that you get people.
Yeah.
And that, because I know, Marcy, you write, like you're the writer of the two, like you're big into writing. So that work that you do with the wine story really impacts how you turn up with your writing. Would it all kind of come together then as a plan, like this is what you want people to say about you when you're not in the room, or if you're across the way getting your wine? How are you going to articulate that? Is that what you guys work on as a kind of package with people?
That's definitely a big part of it. And the great thing about that exercise is that it gets you to use human language as well, because someone across the room is not going to use jargon to describe what you do. They're going to use language that they know. And then we really, in our process that we take people through, kind of the foundation is defining their dream client and just getting really clear on who it is they're wanting to attract, who not only they're a good fit for, but who is a good fit for them. So it's like creating this person who, almost becomes a friend in a way, because you get to know them so well, and then you just keep, pouring on that empathy for them in every decision you make about your personal brand. And once you have that defined, we help you develop your brand voice, which is the way you're going to speak to them, and the tone you're going to convey. And all of this is really grounded in your core values. So it's what you want someone to feel when they interact with you and when they interact with your content. And then we distill your core messaging, which is, what you're saying. So it's who you're talking to, how you're talking to them, and then what you're saying to them. And then from there, it just, the direction of your personal brand and the direction of your content and how you show up in the world just becomes so much easier, because you have a clear path to follow.
I love that. I'm all about roadmaps, and having a plan, because I think for many, including me, for a long time, you're just kind of winging it, just going, oh, I hope someone will listen to me, and it's really trying to just be you. And I think that really kind of hits something that everyone has done. And I think it stops the true authenticity, for want of a better word. I know that's been thrown around a lot, but it's not looking at your competitors and trying, what you said at the start, Frank. I think it's so important, because we get that pressure, and then that feeds the imposter syndrome, doesn't it? Going, well, they're successful, I have to do it like them. When actually, if there's more of them, you're not going to really stand out. You're just going to be another version of that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and then it becomes harder, doesn't it, to write and to turn up
Exactly. It stifles your creativity when you're just trying to be like someone else, or you're always comparing yourself to someone else.
And the beauty of having that roadmap is that if you think about, what we said a personal brand is, it's really just what people are thinking and feeling about you. And so everyone has a personal brand. And so then it's basically a question of, are you letting it happen kind of haphazardly and just as it emerges? Or do you get purposeful about it? And as people, obviously we're really multifaceted, and like you said, the tendency when you're starting out is just to do everything and try everything, and like as a person, we go through life and our friends end up seeing like the patterns in what we do, and that's how people end up saying, oh yeah, that's, Frank, he loves coffee. I don't know, I hope they say he's a good guy.
Yeah, he must have the finger.
So they see those patterns, and that's how kind of your brand emerges. And the beauty of online is that it's so easy to create those patterns if you have a roadmap. So once you've figured out who you're talking to and how you want to show up and the qualities that you want to convey, then it becomes very easy to just create your content according to that roadmap and create those patterns so much faster for people, so that they get that concept of who you are much, much faster. And it's just human nature. It's just human nature that we like to categorize things, and we like to, and so in our experience, great things start to happen when you work on your personal brand, because people are able to categorize you easily. And that categorization, it can be simple or it can be a bit more complex. Like, it's not that you have to shove yourself in a tiny little box. You craft it the way you want to, but you do it in such a way that you allow people to go, that's Frank and Marcy, they do personal branding.
And that's so interesting. And for people that like mightn't be ready, lads, to invest with someone like you, because there's always that almost hustle phase of business where, yeah, that's all great. Like, I know I have to do that at some point, but what can they do right now that would be beneficial to even start thinking about or paying attention to something that would help people start navigating that personal brand relationship?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing is to do the art exhibition exercise, or the, wherever you are, the conference exercise, where if you are across the room and someone's asking, who's that person over there? Just take a few minutes. You could think it inside your head. You could even write it down on paper. What do you want that person to say about you? So just to start defining it. And then, like I said, we always start with the dream client or the dream customer work. I know not everyone here is service based. So you can Google questions to ask to define my marketing persona, and you'll get so many free resources that will help you start building that. We say dream client, but you'll come across avatar or ideal client avatar. To start building that person. And then I've talked long enough. You take
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to define your brand voice, which is, again, it's pretty straightforward. And it really, one of the visualizations that we use is similar to the exhibition or conference idea. Just have a think about, once you've defined your persona, then have a think about where would you want to be talking to them? So what's an ideal location to talk to them, to get across your, to invite them to engage with you as a business. And get really specific. So at one stage for me, that place was Filter in Cork on the Quays, having a coffee in Filter. And then later it became, around our table in our kitchen. Having a coffee. And so just get really, really specific about where it is. And the thing is that, we use different tones in different places. So it's the hushed tones that we use in church are completely different to the tone you might use at, 4 a.m. at a party after. I mean, we have clients who have places like the bar in, was it the bathrooms in
Crane Lane.
Is it in the Crane Lane after a few glasses of wine?
That's where they make their dream client and they strike up a conversation.
We have
So
another
we're up
client
straight
who,
away as well. Oh.
yeah, we have another client, and it's as they come out of a sea swim and they're drying off and they're chatting there. So they're very different energies, very different tones. And then the trick is then to describe that tone. Just using some 3 or 4 simple little terms, describe that tone that you would use in that place to that person.
So for us sitting around our kitchen table with a cup of coffee, we want to come across to our dream client as chatty, encouraging, and fun. So just really simple words just to kind of, remind you that you can look at from time to time and, say, am I being chatty, encouraging, and fun, or have I gone, am I sounding more like I'm in church and I'm in those hushed tones before mass,
And again, it's just kind of to keep you on track, but we love we love Seth Godin, and in his book This Is Marketing, which is, I recommend that to everyone. I love that book. I think it's in that one that he rails a little bit against the word authenticity, but the reason that he rails against it is interesting, and the reason he rails against it is because he feels that some people are essentially abusing it. And they're using it as an excuse to just, say and write and put out into the world whatever they want, because then they're saying, well, that's authentic to me. And his point is that as a business, he says authentic is for amateurs, and professionals have to show up and do the work. Now, we think it's really important to be authentic, but we understand where he's coming from. So our view is, and I don't think he disagrees with this, I think he is being a little bit polarizing when he rails against the word authentic. But what we believe is you find those things that are authentic to you. So, I would hope we are genuine. Well, I'm definitely genuinely chatty. we try to be supportive, and we'd like to have fun in whatever we do. So they are very authentic traits to us. But of course, there's much more to us than that. So it's just picking those key things and then using those to guide you. And that's what Seth Godin's talking about like showing up and doing the work. So his point was, if you're getting a coffee and someone's having a bad day, you don't want them to be grumpy with you and kind of throw that coffee with you and just grunt at you and throw your change at you. You want them to say, have a nice day, thanks a million, see you next time. As simple as that, really. So for us, it just allows us to keep checking in. Are we being chatty, supportive, and fun?
So it's almost you're creating those touch points, like as humans, as you say, there's millions of things that make us up, but you can't use all of them. And I have to agree. I feel sometimes, and why I kind of said authenticity for want of a better word is because it makes me go like this. I feel like it's overused and kind of jargony, like in the marketing space of just go be authentic. What? Like, what does that even mean anymore?
Yeah, we're the same. Oh, sorry.
Go on.
There's the chattiness coming out.
No, I was going to say, I was just going to say we're exactly the same. We use authentic and authenticity frequently, but we have that same kind of like, oh, it's getting worn out. Yeah. But the problem is there a better word for it? We haven't found one.
You see, and I'm always trying to find different words to explain things as well. Even I hate using strategy, even though, it's just a jargony, businessy word. Like, what does it actually mean? And when you just break it all down with a plan, like basically to do something. But I feel like authenticity, again, because it's talked about so much, people are almost afraid of it then because they don't know how to turn up with it. You guys have just cleared up so much, and I know that people are going, oh my gosh, yeah, okay, this makes sense. Pick the 3 things, pick 3 things that you want to be known for, you want to amplify specifically, and they're your touch points then for how you're showing up. That's so simple, so beautifully explained. Like, I know why you do what you do now. Like, it's, and I think simplicity is important, isn't it? Like in this world, because it's so busy and so messy. And I feel like a lot of people try to complicate things, and really we should be stripping it all and simplifying everything, to try and manage everything. So I love that. I just love that. I'd love to hear in the comments what you think, gang. Is that something that you could actually do right now? You know, even pour yourself a glass of wine if you want. It might be a bit early for you guys, but and do that exercise like the lads have said. You know, what do you want that other person over there to be explaining to their buddy about you? What does that look like? Where people might get stuck, I don't know what if people think I'm a crap artist? Like, you know, that's when the monkey on the shoulder comes in. What would you say to people that are finding that difficult, like how to pull out the positives?
Yeah,
Go for a swim.
Yeah, the first thing I think I would say, you might have totally different advice than me, is it is so important, you know, to keep your focus on your dream client or your dream customer, and just put everything through the filter of them, and not worry so much about, you know, everyone who doesn't, you know, fit that profile in some way. Not worry about what they think, because, you know, at the end of the day, they're not right for you. You're never going to be able to please everyone. So you shouldn't try, because, I mean, as we all know, as soon as you start trying to please everyone, you're just going to make your work very monotonous and dull for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, just to give you kind of a real life example, I know, you know, in building your personal brand, if you're writing social media updates, or for me, it's like writing emails to our list. Our list is still quite small, and I know a lot of people on it personally, and I can definitely get wrapped up in my head thinking, oh, what's, you know, my dad going to think when he reads this, or what's, you know, this person I've known for years going to think when they read this. And I just have to keep pulling it back, like, you know, we are building a business, we're building a personal brand. It really is about, what's my dream client going to think, and I need to, you know, I need to keep the focus on them. Otherwise, I'm going to spend the whole day worrying about what other people think and not making progress to where I want to be. So that would be my advice, is, you know, keep the focus on your dream client and the person you're showing up for.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it can be difficult to make those first steps, because, you know, when we were talking about, you know, you don't need a big personality, but what you do need to do is you need to make that step or that commitment to being that little bit more open and available online, because, you know, there is no such thing, I think, as a boring business. There's certainly no such thing as a boring person. But in order to be interesting and in order to make those connections, you do have to be that little bit more open. And it can be scary, because we've all seen, you know, the internet can be a scary place. There are trolls out there. There are people who, I would say, just don't know how to communicate online. And so, yeah, you do have to focus on who you're serving and who you're offering value to. And in our experience, when you do, like, we have been lucky that very few of our clients have had negative experiences when they've started to build their personal brand. In fact, I can't actually think of any example except maybe ourselves. We had one really, really nasty comment. We just reported it, blocked it, and moved on, and focused on all the comments on exactly the same content that we got.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful, and really the only way to deal with attention. And as the attention grows, the negative stuff does come. And as you guys grow your audience, and as I grow my audience, I definitely see a shift in that, like, and it's to be okay with it. And I always say, you know, in the factory, someone will say, oh my God, I can't believe someone posted that. I'm like, yes, people are seeing your stuff. Hooray! Yay to negative stuff, because it means your marketing is working. You're getting your stuff out there. And it's almost, you know, being okay with it, but knowing that they're not your ideal client or not your dream client. And you're right, lads. taking you out of it personally enables that, doesn't it? Like, because it's not really about you, it's more about them and how you're turning up for your audience, for your clients and customers, and how you're going to, you know, make their lives better and happier or prettier or whatever it is, like their walls in their house, however you're turning up with your work. So I think that's really key, that that tool almost of taking you out of it. I love that. It's really great.
And I think you made a good point.
Yeah.
I think you made a good point there as well, just about, you know, when you are beginning to build your personal brand, you're starting to grow. So, you know, you may attract some negative comments, but the chances are that it's much later that the negative comments start to come. And actually, by then, you've hopefully built that muscle a little bit. So, for example, I just realized that I said to you, we got one negative comment. That's actually not true. That's the one that sticks in my head because it was the first one. And now that I think about it, I'm like, oh, wait, there was all that terrible feedback we got. But by the time we got that feedback, we knew that person just wasn't right for what we were doing. We ran a free Facebook challenge, and we got loads of beautiful feedback, and then one set of really negative feedback. But by then we had built that muscle, and we were just like, they're not right for this, and that's okay.
And there was a bit more drama about like gritting our teeth, but then we breathed and we moved on. So we weren't totally about it. You know? I don't want to be perfect people, but you know, it does get to you. But I think it's just, you know, I think that's not what's important at the end of the day. And moving on from there.
Yeah, it is difficult actually, because we tend to always kind of try and fix it. What did we do? And actually, sure, look at, you have to kind of let that go. And just to say, I know a lot of people that did your free workshop that were raving about you guys, like that just loved it so much. So people are definitely, you know, knowing more about you and what you're doing, and you're doing amazing work, lads. So keep that up. It's so great to see you doing. I just am huge fans here. So Aisling says, hi Aisling. Aisling says, great talk. Where do you draw the line in terms of oversharing when building a personal brand? Great question, Ash.
Yeah, that is a great question. And I think, especially, you know, for me, I can say I do tend to be a really private person. I'm not an oversharer, even with, you know, people I'm really close to. And I think, you know, one thing you can do when starting out is, you know, you have your content pillars, or like the 3 to 5 themes of things you return to time and time again, of what all of your content is based on. And I think you should also have like a never talk about list. Like, these are the things that I just don't share about my life. And then that's in black and white there. And, you know, I've heard people say, you know, I don't talk about my children. They just don't come, you know, they're just not part of my business or part of the persona I'm putting out in the world. Or I choose, we do a lot of story-based content. So we do share a lot of personal stories, which, you know, could potentially seem to someone like we're sharing a lot about ourselves. But those stories are carefully selected. And I never share a story that, you know, someone else is the butt of the joke, or, you know, thing I feel like is someone else's story to share. I would never cross that boundary. So, like I said, I think just kind of defining for yourself what's off limits, what am I going to keep, you know, to myself, as well as, you know, what am I going to talk about, what is okay, you know, what am I going to talk about. And
so for us, we have our content pillars, as Marcy said, and then we have a couple of things, like personal things, that we return to very, very often. So for Marcy, it'd be using Jane Austen.
Jane Austen makes a frequent appearance in my content, even though it has nothing to do with the work we do. But you know, that if you interests, if you have a few kind of unique interests, or for me, it's like Jane Austen and food. I love talking about food, and you know. And for you, it's coffee comes up a lot.
Yeah, coffee.
Coffee, acting, and like TV shows and films.
Yeah.
And so we have our content pillars, then we have a few of our personal traits that we tend to return to again and again. And then as Marcy said, we also have a list of like, yeah, this is stuff that we don't go into.
I love that. Again, it's the plan, isn't it, of just anchoring your touch points, having a list of yeses, you know, middly bits and definitely nots, like, you know, and then you have a reference point. And I think reference points are amazing because, like, you know, as we talked about on the onset, it's a roadmap, and roadmaps trigger productivity because you have a reference point in your brain for something, you know. It just makes business stuff so much easier. Tranquil Water Living, hi, this is Frank and Marcy, frankandmarcy.com. And check their website out, and you can give them love on Instagram as well if you want to go over to their Instagram. And they teach you how to rise above the blah. That's what they do. Tranquil Water Living. Thank you for the question. I love that, by the way. I love that, rise above the blah. I love that so much. I was like, shit, why didn't I think of that? So lads, we could talk about this all day. Like, this is such an interesting topic, and one dear to my heart. And I just want to thank you so much for getting up at stupid o'clock to talk to us today. And I know there'll be loads of people interested in the next workshop that you have. Please let us know when that's happening, and I'll push it out because yeah, Mary Fleming just said, I can't believe someone complained about your workshop. It was brilliant. Yeah, Mary was yeah, so definitely, I know there'll be lots of people would love that. So the next round, do let us know, and we'll share it inside the group. Thank you so much, gang. I really appreciate it, and so lovely to see you as well in human form.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we just want to say thank you so much. We are huge fans of yours. You know, I've been in the business community for a very long time, and it's just the work you do is just incredible. Absolutely amazing. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks, and thanks so much, gang. And come here, go back to bed now and have a million coffees, or go back to bed. Marcy, it was lovely meeting you too, and enjoy home in Kentucky. And I hope everyone's okay over there. Thank you so much, gang. I'll talk to you again, okay? Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye. See you again. Bye. Thanks, gang. We'll see you next Friday on the Friday Takeaway at 12:30, and have a brilliant weekend. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thanks, gang. Bye.